Pointfest takes over the Hollywood Casino Amphitheatre in St. Louis today, Saturday, May 17th. And we're celebrating with a special episode of the Midwest Mixtape Podcast with special guest Steve Ewing of The Urge. We dive into the band's incredible history, what keeps their live shows electric, and how Steve balances fronting a powerhouse band with running the iconic Steve's Hot Dogs. This is The Urge on the Midwest Mixtape Podcast, brought to you as always by The Barn. Hi, and welcome to the Midwest Mixtape Podcast, live from the Barn Studio. You got the Mox here with Dale and Justin. Fellas, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
Doing good, Dale?
Doing great, man. Life's good. Can't complain.
Life ain't too bad, right? We have a St. Louis legend.
What up?
St. Louis royalty.
Yeah. Shout out.
On the other end of this phone right now.
The hot dog man himself.
All the flowers.
We have Mr. Steve Ewing. Steve, how are you, man?
Good, man. How you guys doing?
Great.
Doing really good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on the show, man.
Thanks for taking time. I know you to be a busy man. It seems like if you follow if you follow Steve on the Instagrams, on all the socials, you're gonna see a lot of activity because you stay busy.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Tell us about some of the things that you're involved in. Obviously, The Urge,
Yes.
St. Louis legends. But I know you do a lot of solo appearances. You obviously have your hand in hot dogs and in the food industry. So tell us a little bit about what you got going on right now.
Yep. So of course we have Urge shows. We're doing probably these days anywhere from like 2 to 12 per year. Just depends on the year. And then I have my band, the Steve Ewing Band, and we're usually doing around 100 shows a year. And then I co-own Steve's Hot Dogs here in St. Louis. So we do hot dogs and burgers and fries and chilies and Macs and all kinds of good stuff. And so we have the one location, our flagship location on South Grand in St. Louis, and then we have a new location coming on Del Mar in March. And we just have 2 new locations that are in 2 stadiums. We're in City Park over at the soccer stadium, and then we're now at the Enterprise.
And then say
Enterprise.
it.
Yeah.
Enterprise. That is huge, man. Congrats.
That's big. It's big, yeah.
That is major. When I saw that shit the other day on Facebook, I lit up. I was like, my dude, I can't wait. I can't wait to catch a Blues game with a Steve's hot dog and a fucking
Yeah,
beer.
dude. And we've got a really good location. We're right at the one of the main entrances too, so it's pretty cool.
Dude, I'm so pumped. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Yes.
And let me just tell you how amazing your hot dogs are. I had one about a year ago, and it was like heaven when I stuffed your meat in my mouth.
Fantastic.
You're sick. You're sick.
Put that on the menu board.
Yeah, right out the gate. Right out the gate of Enterprise.
This can be our new slogan.
Yeah. Hey, while you guys are there, you gonna hit like any intermissions, like a couple songs? They got a little side stage in there. Throw the Urge up on that deal.
I would imagine, because I've done, of course, the Urge has the goal song for the team.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have that, and we're always involved in St. Louis Blues hockey in some kind of way. And I know the other guys in the band have another band called Joe Dirt,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
who's played like Blues home opener. I've done the Blues home opener.
Nice.
We actually years ago did the national anthem on the ice.
Very cool.
The whole band came out there, so that was pretty cool. So yeah, we're always kind of involved in St. Louis Blues hockey in one way or another.
Yep. Always repping the city, man. Love to see it. Love to see it.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then you also have the Cult of Personality, the Living Color cover, which you're promoting, which is absolutely killer. What made you decide to want to do that song?
We started playing it live maybe like 6 months ago, and it's going over really well. I'm like, let's just record it. So my bass player is an engineer at a studio here in St. Louis, and so we like jumped in there, and we were pretty tight with it since we play it out live all the time. It didn't take us long to track it at all, so it was like, let's just track it, see how it sounds, see how it comes out. It came out pretty good, so I just released it, and we're getting some pretty good feedback from it. I think now we're kind of just putting ourselves on that path to just start trying to release something every like month or two.
Yeah, that's a great path. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Can we dig into the past a little bit?
Yeah.
We are guys in our, well, Justin's a little bit younger than us, but in our 30s and 40s. So we remember the time where it seemed like St. Louis music was really, on people's radar, on a national radar with you guys and Gravity Kills and, Fragile Porcelain Mice and Stir and one of my favorites, Soul Kiss. Remember Soul Kiss?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. PJ and them guys, yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about, what it felt like to be a part of such a huge scene at that time. And even like, we talk about the Point, that they had such a huge role, I think, maybe in you guys' success and a lot of other bands' success as well.
The Point had a huge role in it. So all of us bands have been around for a while, and we all were touring and working and making records and trying to really get things off the ground. And it was nice to have now a radio station, a commercial radio station in town that played alternative music. In other words, none of us were getting our stuff on KSHE or anything like that. But now we had a radio station that was commercial that was playing our kind of music. So that worked out great. So that's why you saw a ton of bands at one period of time that were kind of all on major labels and doing good things. Is we had industry here now. We had a radio station that could play our music. It was pretty cool.
The access to the outer world at that time wasn't like social media now where you could just put up your own video. Like radio was a huge role.
Yep. So we had a way in for commercial radio, and so now the record labels could be like, oh, well, okay, we got radio play and we got support here in this region. So it was easier for us to connect to the record industry, the record side of things, by having the support here.
We talked to the guys in St. Lunatics, Murphy Lee and Kiwan, and we talked about, like, I don't know, if you're young, you're obviously not going to remember this, but there was a time in the early 90s where it wasn't cool to be from St. Louis. Like the Rams weren't very good.
They weren't popping. No.
Tony Banks and the Rams weren't very good.
Yeah. The Blues were unheard of.
Yeah, Blues weren't very good back then. And even the Cardinals weren't, at times weren't very good. So it wasn't really that cool. Well, you guys came along and there was a buzz and the Point and then Nelly and Chingy, like all these things started kind of happening. The Rams got really good, right?
Yeah.
And so there was some excitement there, the McGuire stuff. So in the late 90s, it became cool, and it felt like for the first time, like our city was something to be proud of, and you guys were a huge part of that.
Yeah, we've been around since 1987, so we knew, and we were hustling, and we knew that there was plenty of bands and plenty of talent here and a lot of really good stuff. We also understood that it was hard at that time to get any recognition in our city. We were ranked market number 20 as far as record sales go and television and all that kind of stuff, whatever. So it's not a huge market. So we realized that we had to just get on the road and tour. That was it. So we toured like insane amounts. We stayed on the road for years. And we were able to build our following regionally. So in other words, it wasn't just St. Louis, but it was like within a 5-hour radius of St. Louis, we could build that following, and that all just fed into it. And then when it started kind of growing up, everything else came along with it. We've had bands like Fragile that played with us all the time. And Stir, we knew those guys. So it was just starting to bubble up. And like once that radio kicked in, once we could actually get radio play here, and it was commercial and people could tune in, and it really started to take off. The sports thing is like, I don't know, like that's something completely different, but it all just started happening at the same time.
Yeah. The whole city took off together, and then jersey sales after we saw those videos just shot through the roof.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of tours, you guys over the years hit a lot of act times with 311. How was it like working with Nick Hexum and then always being on tour with the boys from 311?
Yeah, so we toured with them a lot. So one of the first major tours we did was with 311. We were touring in a van and hitting all the festivals and hitting pretty much every club we could find. And we ended up in a festival with 311 in, I don't know what year that was. It was early 90s, like 91 or something, 92. We ended up on a festival with those guys in Atlanta. And we met them, and we just admired what we were doing and each other's sets. And so we just got to talking, and it's like, hey, we should get on the road together. And sure enough, we did. Like right after that, we started touring together. And so they would come through our markets, and we'd go through their markets. And between that, we hit the whole country pretty much. And that was great. We both were coming up at the same time. It was nice to be able to just really hit all those markets with somebody that gelled really well with you, and the crowds meshed perfectly. But when we were making our second major record, we were pretty much done with the record. We had a song called Jump Right In that we were almost done with. I had written everything on that song except for the chorus. I think I wrote like 5 choruses that I didn't like, and Carl was like, well, let's see if Nick Hexum has something.
Well, sure.
Or see if somebody else has something. So I reached out to him.
Pull that out of the pocket.
And he was like, he's like, yeah, I called him. He says, yeah, I got something. And I didn't even know what it was, but we were in a studio in Reno, Nevada, and like when I called him on it, and so we went and picked him up. He was in 311 was playing like Fresno or something like that. So we went and picked him up, brought him back to the studio, and then he played me what he had. I'm like, dude, that's going to work out perfectly. So we got up next day, tracked it. I did the harmonies, whatever, and then we put him back on the road. He hit the road again. And the song did really well. The song charted at like number 8 on the alternative charts, did really well. Stayed there for a while too. So yeah, it was a good, it was very good collaboration. It worked out nice.
Yeah, I'd say it worked out pretty well for you.
Yeah, number 8. Eight's a pretty solid number.
We actually, we just interviewed Peanut from 311 before they came into town, and we were talking about those old times and touring with you guys, and he said, you know, you guys were a tough act to follow, but he also appreciated, and I love the way he put it, he said that the Urge really lubricated the crowd. Right, it really got the crowd
like, okay, well, this is fun. We're at a great show.
Yeah.
Like, we're ready. We're warmed up.
Yeah, he said that you guys just primed the crowd up so well for them to come out. Like when they were headlining and they were really starting to catch on and catch their wave. So he gave you guys lots of props, and he said, also he said, seeing you guys, watching you guys from the side of the stage, he's like, oh, this is like physical. Because you guys have always been known for your live energy, your high energy performances. He was like, we got to up our game a little bit, because of you guys. So he was very complimentary to you.
Yeah, that's what happens when you go out with a band. No, any tour you go out, when you go out with other bands, it happens like that. Especially if you appreciate each other. Each band pushes the other one, so it's great for the crowd because they get to see bands at their top of their game. It's awesome.
To talk back into the sports thing, it's like when 2 great teams play each other, like you better each other.
Yeah, it's going to make each other play better. So yeah, the crowd's going to see a great show. Yeah.
I am a fan of the metal. I like the metal. I like the rock. I like a lot of genres, but I'm a fan of the metal.
Guilty.
But I can say, guilty.
Guilty.
Nice.
I can honestly say the loudest concert I've ever been to was the Urge at Mississippi Nights, probably 97 or 8.
Those were really loud.
Yeah. Between the crowd and the horns, and just it was just a wild time, a wild experience. Obviously we missed Mississippi Nights. That was a legendary club.
Yes.
Missed that venue. You guys played there a ton.
Yeah, those shows were painful, dude. In like a lot of ways, it was like it was 120 degrees on stage.
Yes, exactly.
We were cruising because they didn't have the technology to roll par cans, so it was just super hot. It's like a sun up there. Had a low ceiling, so there was no airflow in the place. And this out front, I think we were cruising at like 121 dB, so it was insanely loud.
Yes, it was.
Very rarely, hardly ever barricades. If there's barricades, they moved 5 seconds in, and everybody's right on the stage.
Like I
just
pulled
smushed.
so many people out of the crowd who were near death from just either getting crunched or just dehydrating. So those crowds were nuts.
And if you think about the time, people loved to crowd surf too. So if you were up front,
they did,
you're getting kicked the whole fucking time. Yeah,
shoes flying everywhere.
Sure did, yep. Yes,
it was definitely an experience for sure.
Yes, a blast.
This is the Midwest Mixtape Podcast, joined here with Steve Ewing of The Urge and many other things. You can check all the information out about The Urge at theurge.net.
It was great talking with you guys. Thanks so much.
Have a great day, man.
Hey, real quick shout out. We got to shout out our boy, good buddy of ours, Brandon Scherfus.
Yeah,
that's our people. That's our people right there. That's the bro. That's how you've gotten down and played in our area a few times. So we got a shout out to the homie.
The bro. I was down at Park Hills with him this year earlier.
Yep, we was at the show together probably 10, 11 years ago when we saw you guys with actually 311 and the Whalers. Good times.
Yeah,
great.
That's
times.
Awesome, man.
Yep. Shout out to the homie. Thanks again for coming on, Steve. We appreciate it.
You got it, brother. See you. Talk to you guys soon.